Okay, here we are with a, I don't know, mid-90s Honda Accord. One of those most popular cars on the road. Most reasonable cars to drive, good autonomy, low miles, 80,000 miles on it. It's gold, it probably belongs to an older person, I don't know. But this is a bread and butter car for a lot of people. Has a small rust spot behind the rear tire. Really common on these old sedans. This car justifies making the repair. I kind of got ahead of ourselves before we even pulled the camera out. We got the bumper off, tail light off, fuel door off, everything out of the way to make this repair. And I've started cutting on it. So I'll show you step by step how we fix this. We're going to cut the outer metal off, see how bad the inner is, and go from there. Perimeter cut, and we're going to pull this back now and see what it's like on the inside. See how it's so much worse than it looks on the outside? But what do I got here? I can see a line. Man, that's just right on the inside of the tire where shit would splash up in there. We did take a plastic fender liner out that would maybe be a barrier, but it's certainly not weatherproof. But then this, that's not metal, that's just seam sealer. So, oh wow, that's just seam sealer. That's just the way it was made. This panel, inner panel, cuts off short, and then this breaks down here. Looks like we've got a majority of the rust. It doesn't really go this direction any further, and it looks like we're pretty close this direction as well. So I think we're pretty good there. We'll make a patch this size. We'll dress this up on the inside, treat it, and then I don't know. I mean, I don't know that there's a reason to make an interior piece here. We'll just follow suit, weld this in, and then do a super seal job on it before we put it back on the road. That's weird. Okay. Okay, I've changed my mind. I still suspect there might be a little bit more rust further back, so I'm going to go ahead and cut just a little bit more off of this. Okay, so here we are. We've cut the metal back, and now we have really clean margins. And there was a little bit of rust beyond my first cut. So it is true that there was a little bit of rust in there yet that I was worried about. And now I know, no matter what, we've got clean metal from here back to the back. So I'm happy with that. We'll just break this out. We'll get our new piece, shake including this, strip it off. So, and so many times it's going to work eventually. Yay! Make our patch. Okay, we're going to clean up some of this rust. so now I have that ground down and all the flaky rust off. So we're gonna put a treatment on there, rust chemical treatment on that, and let it sit for a bit. We'll make a patch to weld back in. I think that spot where the single layer of metal is on the back side originally just kind of went across here like that. So then what I'll need to do is cut a little bit of metal out of here and weld that in, you know, as a reinforcing piece. What I may do is expand that further down to here where it wasn't that way from the factory, but I think I might just make a piece that fits behind all of this. Okay? I might just cut this off straight here for something to weld to and weld that in. I think that's what I'll do. Make it a little better than the factory did. But that's the next step. Cut this off here. Okay, we've let this thing sit overnight to cure. We put some chemical treatment to the metal, rust mort, that's a converter, and it's nice and dry now. It's done its job. It's gotten into the pores of the metal and leaves no rust behind. So next thing to do is to make our patches. So we'll get that process started now. So how we do that, I don't know if you remember when you were a little kid, you take a leaf off of a tree and do an impression. So this is what we do. We'd put this up here and we'll press against it, and with an impression we'll have the boundary of what we cut out. So, you know, when it just looked like I was randomly cutting metal and then randomly cutting a little more off to find what was all rusted out, that's all fine and dandy, because there's nothing about the cuts that have to be precision or perfectly straight, because we're going to make our patch to match our hole, not worrying about how it is so many degrees and none of that. So we have the trace out of our outer piece, but we need to go under, behind here, and back under here. So we'll draw, you know, our trace out this way. We need to go this way. All right, we'll get that cut out. And here we go. We've got our sheet metal in here, or a paper patch. So much easier just to make it out of paper just for a test fit. And now we'll be able to trace this to some sheet metal and have a really good patch for this process. All right, I've already done something with the inner before I got the camera out today. So we have one for the inner as well. Got this one for the inner. That'll be good stuff. Get that cut out of metal and get started welding. Okay, so now we've got our cutouts made, but now we need to get them to the right shape to fit in the car, and do a little trim work on them to get them fit just right. So that's the next step. Alright, we're pretty much right there with our patch. A little extra grinding and bending and hammering here and there. Pretty good fit. Those edges up. Once we got our final shape, we'll be good to go right just like that. Alright, so that's our outer. So we make sure that with this welded in this position, we can still fit our outer patch on. Because you just need to know, okay, still good there. The inner one's not in the way. So there we go. Started with this.
Creating a how-to video for this process that takes 3 to 4 days requires quite a bit of heavy-duty video editing. If you're finding this content interesting and would like to continue seeing more videos like this, please subscribe, like, and share. And I appreciate your time today very much. Thank you.
Here we're using a grinding stone here to grind the majority of the extra part of the weld off. And you can see if I'm grinding on the weld and it's touching both sides of the metal, then you need to turn your thing because you don't want to grind on the metals too much, it'll get thin. And then it also tells you that you're pretty darn close to level on all these surfaces. So you don't want to grind too much on either of the two parts. You want to grind a majority of the weld itself off. Sometimes you got to change positions to do that, or change tools as well. This feels like a dent back here, and I can see where the paint scraped. So, although this was a rust spot, right in here, the car had suffered a damage, and you can see it in the reflection a little bit too. So, I guess while we're here doing body work, we might as well fix that dent too. But when I was feeling things, this felt high, but that's about like that should be, and this was low, so that's dented. So we'll get that straightened out. We're pretty good here. I don't see any pinholes here, so I just need to finish my, well, there might be one there and there. I'll get this welded up, figure out what we want to do with that. Set this bumper on. I'll take this side so I can go that way. Just flip it in. It doesn't have to be 100% over there, just so it's like that it angles down a little bit there. I'm looking for fit here. That looks pretty good. I'll have to fill that a little bit. Good. All right, now I can do body color on that. This is a nice fit here, fit here. We got the dent back there, but I'm gonna put the purple stuff on first. So we're good. Thank you. Let me return that to you. I'm going to mix up some Fabricating. Alright. Got some fiberglass orange filler here ready. Press it into the scratches. We'll let that dry, and then we'll take the bumper off, and the tape will release from the filler, and we might have to put a little bit of this on that underside there, but then we can go ahead and prep that dent in the rear to fix that at the same time. Okay, we got this thing ready to put a coat of filler on and go mix them up. All right. And just like all the rest of the times, we want to press the skim coat into the scratches and low spots and pinholes.
That's right.
If you catch this filler at just the right time, where it's setting up, where it's not rock hard but not too wet yet, it's still too tacky right now, but if you catch it just right, these cheese graters work well for shaping what you're working with. Goes a lot faster than trying to sand it all with sandpaper. It's basically just to knock down the high spots, kind of level it, shape it, especially when it's something that's got kind of an inside curve, which is harder to do with sandpaper than anything. Inside curves are the most difficult. That's looking pretty good. We got it mostly shaped, nice and flat in this area, with the curve and the body line to follow, and reasonably flat here on the bottom. And that's done in right now 40 grit or 36 grit. And what we'll do is let this dry a little bit more, and then we'll hit it. Then we'll switch to 80 grit and just finally shape and smooth sand it. And then it'll be just about ready for primer. All right, we got the pinholes filled. This thing's ready for primer now. It's all smoothed out with 180. All right. Joe's gonna get the priming done. All right, so we get this thing painted and going back together. The Silver, pastel metallics are really difficult to match, but we get this pretty good match when the light's shining on it. For a panel paint without blending. If they want to blend, we can blend that door. It's another couple $100. The bumper mismatches terribly, but that's true on this side too. So somebody's painted a bumper once and didn't bother to match it at all. So we'll get this thing put together, a little buffing, and this job is done.